Yeah, I know it's really sad. Hidden has to work. She can't be here. She gotta work. People gotta people gotta work sometimes. They can't all be unemployed like me and Zeke. This is going to be so complicated with you two on the same account, so please do sign the messages because some of them are going to be complicated. Oh, you're so much. You're very sweet. Do your work. Do your work. What do you think? To be fair, this is like background noise. It's fine. Ooh, to one baker trees. This is background noise. It's fully fine, I think. I'm going to put the Spotify a bit louder for you because it's really low for you all. Here we go. I know you're working. It's all the white man right now. Juno is away for a second. I see. Poor Juno getting her account fully hacked by such a despicable character. That was short. That was very short. So, next to me, I have. Ugh. Welcome back, Juno. I have a pile of books. You know, the more messages you do, the less believable it is that it's Juno. I have a pile of books. It's not all the books I'm going to talk about today. Some of them I have only images of because they're not at my place. Where is it? It's here. For example. And I have my little list of all the books I want to speak of. And I have this little notebook too, which is the notebook with all of the books that I've read so far since 2022. In case I have stuff to add about them. And I have like the mangas I read on the other side. I'm going to only talk about novels because I've been trying to read more and more novels recently. This is quite practical. Recently, and so I mostly read novels. Also, it comes from a kind of classist idea in my brain, which is like, oh, I want to read a certain amount of books per year, and it has to all be novels. To be fair, if it's like a collection of poems or something, I still count it as a book. But I mean like novels because most of what I read is novels. Most of what I read is also fiction because that's what I prefer. But it's whatever interests me really. So, oh, you're also making me in The Sims. You'll have to. I mean, we'll see after, during the call after this. I am excited to see. But yeah. So I'm going to talk only about novels today, but I will probably do a similar thing with maybe mangas, because I read a lot of manga too. Is novel the same as novella? No. A novella is a short novel. I would count a novella as a novel in my list, because I just like, as long as it's on Goodreads and I can add it to my challenge thing, I count it. To be fair, there is one novella that I have read that wasn't counted because it's not on the thing, but whatever. But novellas are shorter than novels. So if you're talking like literary while, no. If you're talking for my counting, yeah, I count it as the same. Yeah, defenses. Yeah, it'll depend. It's fine if we can't today. You'll show me tomorrow. If you can't show me today, that's really fine. But yeah. So we have all of these right now. But yeah, they're not the same thing. Okay. I'm questioning myself whether do I leave this here or do I put it. I'm thinking I'm going to leave that here and then I'll put because I have a little stool next to me and I'll put them back on the stool as I speak about them because I feel like that will be the easiest thing. It's horrible because I had something I wanted to say and then I fully forgot, so that's fine. That's fine. It's okay. But yeah, I have my little notebook. Yeah. Oh yeah, what I wanted to say. My goal for 2024 is to read 20 novels. I think yeah, that's 20 novels. So far I have read 10, and I have been procrastinating on the July one because I have started to read House of Leaves. It's over there. I really want to finish reading it before August because I have to give it back to the friend that lent it to me in August. But I don't think I'll finish it before August. So we'll see. Because I need to get back into it. Because the thing is that since it's not my book, I have to be very careful when I read it. So I can't really just like twist it everywhere like I do with my usual books. As you can see, the spines are fucked because that's how I read. I also dog ear my pages and I annotate sometimes. But yeah, since I have to be very careful with that book, I am always worried I will do like oh and like twist the page or something. And so it's on my side table. I'll get back to it at some point. And also I've been not really taking the time to read recently. So yeah. It's also the case of it's a horror book. So if I read that late at night, it's not like maybe the best option. But yeah, I should take more time to read. It's hard, isn't it? Yeah, but also when I went to see Oak, I took another book and I finished it in the time that I was there. So you know, happens. Okay. Let's start. So the first book, they're arranged by when I read them in my little list thing. Because I don't have enough of like the same genre, or I don't have really any of the same authors and stuff, so you know, and I'll go by my little list. So that's it, all per yeah, for when I read them. Please wait, I'm going to do this, and this. Here we go. So first book on that list, Radio Silence by Alice Oseman. So, Alice Oseman is an author I really like, that I discovered before Heartstopper exploded, let's say. And if you don't know, she does novels. She doesn't just do Heartstopper. Before Heartstopper, she was a novelist. She did a bunch of novels. Her first one is Solitaire, which is the only one I haven't reread from her, which I would like to reread, but I need to get a copy in English to reread it in English, because I have a French copy of it. I need to put my phone off because I keep looking at it. So, yeah. Radio Silence is her second novel, I believe. I have read all of her novels. I like all of them very much. My two favorites are Radio Silence and Loveless, which is her last novel. I do really like Heartstopper as well, but it's a bit less than the novels, because the novels are a bit more intense, and I like when stuff are intense. The first thing I'm going to say is just like the cover for this is not the best. My boyfriend got me the other, like the version that's illustrated by her, so I have that in the UK. But that's the copy I have here. The cover is not the best because the main character of this book is a mixed black girl. Yeah, that's not her. I don't know why they put her on the cover. She would also never have a piercing, because you can't really see, but she has a septum. So I don't know why she's here, but she's here, I guess. So this book is about yeah, I could rebind it to be fair, but I do have another copy of it already, so it's fine. Yes, the cover is quite ugly. So this is the story of Frances, which is a young girl in secondary school, so high school equivalent. By the way, all of Alice Oseman's books are within the same universe, so if you know a little bit about Heartstopper or things like that, if names sound similar, it's the same characters. So, we got our main character Frances, and she is this teenage girl. She is very much at school, this very serious girl who, you know, works really hard, doesn't have many friends. This is Barbara by Whiskey. Yes, not the same name, but that's fine. It's not Francis, it's Frances. So even E. But yeah, and at home she's a bit more of a nerd. She does a lot of fan art, especially fan arts of her favorite podcast called it's not Radio Silence, because Radio Silence is something they say in the podcast. I do believe Radio Silence is the name of the character and not the name of the podcast, but I think the podcast is like Universe City or something like that. But whatever. She's a big fan of this podcast and she makes a lot of art for it. And one day she gets a DM saying, "Hey, by the way, do you want to do art for my podcast? Because I'm looking for artists." And it's the same person. It's the same person that does the podcast. So of course she says yes, and she starts this double kind of like thing where she's invested in school, but she's also invested in this, and she's also starting to make friends with other people in her school. So it's kind of like just her life story, and it revolves around her, around Aled, which is the friend that she starts to make in school. That they like start talking and they realize they are incredibly similar people and like become kind of instant friends, and it's all around that kind of thing. And for these I have made a little spoiler bird, so if people don't want any spoilers, they can just skip those passages without having me saying, "Oh, spoiler now, spoiler then." I'm going to do levels of spoilers, but I'm going to try at least. But yeah, I'm going to start talking spoilers on the book. I will try my best not to say anything too spoilery or like spoil too much of the book, but there's stuff that I still do want to talk about, and I can't really say why I like a book a lot of the times if I don't say much more about the plot of it. So I do need a little spoiler bird. So if you're like me and you don't like to know anything about your books before you read them, skip those passages. If you like to know a little bit, I will try to keep it within the acceptable, or I will like add another spoiler warning vocally. So, Aled is the creator of the podcast, and Frances discovers that once she goes to see him, and then it's going to be a thing also about her realizing that she has to tell him that she's the artist. And is he going to take him right or not? He takes him fine. They are still friends afterwards. There's still a little breakout, but they're still friends afterwards. And it focuses a lot also around Aled's life. Aled is one of my favorite, I think, characters made by Alice Oseman or medias together. And he has a lot going on. He is not okay in the best way. He's making the podcast to cope, and you can tell. And there's also a lot of queerness, of course. All of Alice Oseman's books are extremely queer. Frances is bisexual. Aled is gay and non-binary, and has a boyfriend. But yeah, there's this whole thing around Aled and what he has going on, and a lot of revelations around it, and how he is not coping well, and Frances trying to help him, and there's a lot of things that Frances also has going on while she feels she should do right by Aled because of stuff that happened in the past. There's a lot of things. It's a very nice book. There are trigger warnings. Do I have the trigger warnings at the start of it? No, I don't. Because some of the books, like sometimes when I lend books to my boyfriend, I put the trigger warnings at the start of them, just so he knows. But I must have done that on the other copies then, because I know I put all the trigger warnings to all the Alice Oseman's books over there. But yeah, do check the trigger warnings for some stuff. There is mentions of animal abuse in the book, for example. There is mention of self-harm, I believe. There's depression. Abusive families and abusive parents, specifically. If you're sensitive to that, be careful. Yeah, I try the most I can to like give trigger warnings and content warnings for people for books, just because, you know, I think people should be aware of what they read. Some people don't want to know them, that's fully fine. But I know a lot of people do want to know what they're going to read, and do want to know what the warnings are going to be for the media they consume, because they are better equipped. So, you know. So yeah, I do really like this book. It's a beautiful tale of friendship. That's one of the things that I love the most about this book, is that Aled and Frances don't end up together. And it's one of the first things, I think, when they first meet, that said, she's like, just so you know, this is not a love story. And it's so satisfying to have a guy and a girl just be really good friends, and just this soulmate kind of bond, but not be shipped. It is so nice. Even though Alice is non-binary, but at this point in the book, you don't know yet. But yeah, highly recommend. Alice Oseman is really good at making landscape of people's lives, and I think this book is a great example of that, and my favorite example of that. I'm going to take out the spoiler bird. I'm going to keep this book in hand when I speak about Loveless, which is my other favorite Alice Oseman novel, because I don't have it here. So Loveless is a book about Georgia, not the county, a girl called Georgia, who is studying university, and basically it's very, from what I understand, it's a very autobiographical book from Alice Oseman, and it's a book about how Georgia is discovering that she's aromantic and asexual while in university, and it's a whole book about that whole thing. Yeah, Georgia. I said it's about Georgia, and I was like, Georgia's also a place. But yeah, and how she discovers that it takes a long time. Like, this is the whole book's point, so it takes like pretty much a full book for her to realize and understand and know what it is. And it's also a book about her friendships and starting university and how that goes for her. And same, it's like a tale of someone's life that's really, really well said and really, really well done, I believe. It talks also a lot on social anxiety, because Georgia has a lot of it, and depression a bit, I believe. It is the kind of book that looked me in the eye and said, you, you. If you're not that kind of person, apparently it can be a bit irritating to read. I know that when Oak read that book, he had a hard time sympathizing with Georgia because of how dissimilar they are in some aspects, but I know that it was very similar to some of my internal monologue. I have... Well, good to know that does it also on OBS. What the fuck? Okay. That's great. That's great. It's very similar to some of my internal monologue. And, yeah, so it was very much a book that punched me in the face and said, you will be called out. So yeah, if you're like Ace Arrow and have had that whole like realization and stuff, I feel like it, and are like very socially awkward, I don't know how to do the other ones. They all happen by happenstance. I won't try to do more emojis. But yeah, if you are within this community and stuff, it's a really nice book, I think, to read. It feels really nice to feel seen by, especially written by people that are of those communities, because Alice Oseman is non-binary and Ace Arrow. So it's really nice, to read a book about someone, written by someone who's of the same community and has had those experiences. It feels a lot more genuine. And I know that it felt very genuine to me. Of course, it won't feel genuine to everyone, because everyone has different... yeah, everyone has different expectations of everything, so, and different experiences, yes. First book done. Second book. We're getting to my favorite book. Oh, and then we also have a banger afterwards. Yes. The Starless Sea by Erin Morgenstern. You might be like, Evan, you said you wreck books. This is in pretty good conditions. Give me a second. This is the one I read. I don't know if you can tell, but the front cover is slightly destroyed. And this is the one I do want to reread as well, so I'll keep it. What was that? That's why this one is fine. Someone did that to my spine too. It would be so nice if... I wish chiropractors weren't scams, because that would be so nice to just get like your spine cracked and stuff. But also I don't want to end up dying, so yeah. But yes. So this is The Starless Sea by Erin Morgenstern, aka my favorite book, or one of my favorite books. I talked about it on the intro stream. So what is The Starless Sea about? Starless Sea is about Zachary Ezra Rollins, which is a media student at university. And when he was a kid, he passed in front of a door painted on the wall, and he had the intuition that he could open that door, but didn't try. And let's say that he gets to try again, and that has consequences. I think that's the most concise summary I can do of this book without telling you anything else about it, which I think is great. Now, because everything else technically is a spoiler. It's really hard not to talk to this book about spoilers, because the issue with this book, when you want to sell it to other people, is that it's stories within stories, it's plot within plot, it's layers of storytelling, masterfully done. Yeah, mute stream, Hayden, so you know nothing. So it starts with a little story, which is so smart in my humble opinion. It starts with Sweet Sorrows. Once, a very long time ago, there's a pirate in the basement, and it tells the story of this pirate. And then you move to Zachary Ezra Miller, and you don't go back to that until a little bit, and you have little tales sprinkled like this, and then you understand what Sweet Sorrow is, and why it's important, and why it links to Zachary, and that's just one of the examples. The pirate is someone that goes back. That is also 20 other things in this book. It is so good. It makes me so happy. I love this book so much. Like, sincerely. This is everything that I love put into one book. It has... The Starless Sea is a place that you end up going at some point. And we go to a place next to Starless Sea, which is pretty much an archive. A huge library filled to the brim with books that has cats hanging around that you can just go somewhere, take a book, read it, and have cats come and cuddle you while you do it. You have pretty much hotel rooms that you can stay in at that place, and the kitchen can cook you whatever the fuck you want. You just send them a message and they will give you whatever you need back. Clothes are magically here. It's night all the time. I want to be there. I want to go there, please. Please, I beg of you. Someone brings me there. Someone paints a door so I can go through. Like, I legitimately love this book so much. I have many tattoo ideas linked to this book that I want to do. It is the perfect place. It is the perfect place. Legitimately the perfect place. There must be so many book nooks. And also, this book is about how they're going to save the Starless Sea. Not only Zachary, but also a character called Dorian, which is Gay ensues. Let's just say Gay ensues. It kind of like is easy to guess that Gay ensues afterwards. But yeah, I have so much love and fondness for this book. That's why I want to reread it. I never reread books. Like, I don't rewatch films often. I reread books even less. The only books I've reread recently has been the Alice Oseman books, because the first time I read them I was a teen and I was like, oh, I kind of want to reread all of them, so I reread the few least recent ones a while back. But yeah, it is just I love because I just started reading the summary behind and I realized it's not at all what I said. They go by another angle, which both work, because this book has so much packed in so little. Honestly, I know it's not a good selling point, but you could, if you want to, you could write every character on the post-it note and then try to re-guess who is who through time and space and tales. And it would work as well. It is also incredibly graphic, and not graphic in the gore way, but like visual. It's the only book I've ever read is Shadow and Bones, Six of Crows, and The Raven Circle. Yeah, exactly. It's the kind of books, they're just so good you have to reread them. I know that's why I want to reread the All for the Game trilogy when I get the new editions back, because I have so much love for those books. But yeah, it's them pretty much saving the Starless Sea. I was saying something and I fully forgot. Fuck, it's fine. But yeah, I can't do anything but highly recommend this book. If you have this edition specifically, it also has a little essay at the end of it by Erin Morgenstern about video games and how it inspired her to write The Starless Sea. And I think that's fucking cool. It also took her like 5 years to write, and it makes a lot of sense when you read the story why it took her so long. Right now she's working. She has been an author for like more than 10 years now. She has 2 books out, and when you read both of them, you understand. The first, this is her second book. Her first book isn't as good. It's still really good. It's not as good. She's working on a 3rd book right now, and I am extremely excited. Extremely hyped. Also, she does other stuff. She doesn't just write novels, but you understand why it takes her so long to do so when you read her novels. But yeah, her books are pretty much like also so visual that I am a very visual person, but with those books, it's like with this book, it is incredible how much I see like the scenes go in front of my eyes and how visual they are in like the descriptions and everything. It is so good. I cannot recommend it enough, like seriously. Read books, people. Read books. But specifically read this one. Okay. Then we go to another of my favorite books. Of course, this piles all my favorite books, but like when I think of my top favorite book, I think of The Starless Sea and I think of this book. And a third one, to be fair. I would add a third one to that. Which is also the one I'm going to talk after this one, I just realized, so perfect lineup. The Secret Story by Donna Tartt. So, this book is a classic for a reason. Yeah. Oh, I highlighted this book. I got green. I don't know why I took a green highlighter, so doesn't make much sense with that book, but that's fine. So, Donna Tartt. The thing that makes me laugh a lot about this book is that if it had been released today, it would be released as a young adult fiction, but since it's been released in the 90s, it was released as an adult book and won a bunch of prizes for adult fiction. So I think that's extremely funny. If you like Saltburn, this is a better version. This is one of the different things that Saltburn decided to plagiarize to make the movie. It mostly plagiarizes the incredible Mr. Ripley, or the talented Mr. Ripley, but also kind of rips off this book. Let's go, this book is always my favorite. You should read it. You would identify with someone. This was mean, I'm sorry. But yes, I highly recommend. I wish they made pretty editions of this book, because the hardcover of this book is literally just this, but with a little bit of beige. It's so ugly. Like, this is prettier than the hardcover, and I want a pretty hardcover of this book. I have seen one rebounded that was gorgeous, but I don't have the money for it. But one day. So I'm sorry, I keep touching my nose because my nose is itchy. So. That's a bad thing, I've heard. Yes, all the characters in these books are assholes. This book is the story of, what's the name of the main character? Wait, because the thing is, like, I read multiple books that are very similar. I read If We Were Villains, which is a ripoff of this book, and so I always get the different characters mixed in my brain, because the fucking girlie from If We Were Villains called them the same names. Not the same names, but some characters have the same names but other different characters. Like, let's say you got John, Paul, and like Zeke, and she called Paul Zeke. Like, so it gets confusing in your brain because like it's not the same character. Where are you? No. What is your name? Whatever. So, the main character of this book, whose name I forgot. Yeah, because it just says a group of elites. It doesn't say the name of the same character. Whose main name I forgot. You start the book and Bunny died. Bunny is someone. Bunny died, and they have to cover it up. And then flashback to before he even knew who Bunny was, and he's going to it's a story of a guy who's I am Paul, what if betrayed you? No, you're not. Yeah, I don't apologize. Yeah, it's fine. It's just like why I keep doing this because it's us. Um, but yeah, he lives in this little town which he hates. He hates everything about it. To go to university, specifically to a Greek program. Yes, it's the elite at an elite New England college. Yeah, and he wants to study classics, and specifically, he decides to try to study Greek. Um, at this specific college, there's one teacher that teaches Greek, and he only teaches to a very few amount of students. So he has to kind of like go and give his case to the teacher. He ends up getting accepted in the Greek program, and he realizes that the Greek program is just this little group of people that he then joins and becomes friends with, and they are all rich assholes, all in different ways. And it's a book about, in the best way, you're like, so far at least I have not read something like this on these topics that is more interesting, or if it is also really interesting and really good, it's because it adds to the narrative by adding another element to it. For example, Babel adds racism within academia, but so far this is the best book about criticism of academia that I have read. It also plays on the fact that I really like the way Donna Tartt writes. I really want to read more of her books, to be very honest. The original bestseller. But yeah, it is a book criticizing academia, especially through the very elite US colleges and those kind of very elite niche group of rich kids and rich people that are extremely hard to get in, but also extremely hard to not keep your integrity once you're in them. This is pretty much that story of someone that is not from that type of upbringing, but then pretends really quickly and becomes very quickly acquainted with it. Not acquainted with it, and integrates it, and then fully leaves all of his previous kind of things at the door because he wants to be part of that world so bad. And it's also how far it goes, so to murder, because we know it's the first page of this is Bunny died, we know, so how far it can go to murder, and can they get away with it? And how easy is it for them to get away with it as the rich elite in that town, and what are the consequences? Why did they go to murder? That's the main question, is why do they go to the point of murder? How do you get to that point? I do really love that book, but I still have criticisms of it, so I will tell them now. So, my first criticism would be something that I don't know for sure because I have not read other books of Donna Tartt, but I have heard about her, is that, and I felt it in this book, so the fact that she does it apparently in other books as well, I'm like, bestie, bestie, please don't. Donna Tartt very much feels like the kind of person that will go a bit too far on showing racism or showing homophobia so she can say slurs that she usually would not be able to say as a white woman. And you can kind of feel it. Like, you're like, oh, like, there's a specific scene that I can think of with, like, a nationalist guy who's being extremely racist. And it could have stopped before the slur. We got the point, but she felt like she needed to say that slur, apparently. And not appreciated. Personally, I think you could do without it. This book is quite gay, but not canonically, which is a little bit of... It's too bad, but it's what it is. To me, the main character is definitely bisexual. But also it's very interesting because of his, like, relationship with women and how he sees women and how they talk and stuff. Another issue I have with this book is, to me, you could kind of cut the end of it. It would be better. Basically, you get through the whole story until Bunny's murder, and to me, you could have cut the story after Bunny's murder, or at least after the funeral. But it keeps going a bit farther, and the ending I had a harder time reading because I was like, I got to the point of the story that I was questioning myself about, and I'm like, why should I keep reading? You're not really giving me reasons to wonder what's happening now, and especially because here we go. Specifically, the scene at the funeral it's a whole week, I think, and it's extremely uncomfortable. It is so uncomfortable. And you're just like, okay, I know I am supposed to read something uncomfortable, like it makes sense, but I don't want to be here. Like, it's hard to read. And the ending, I was just like, what the fuck? There's a weird dream sequence. It's a bit weird. There's like a few hundred pages that could have been cut from this book. It would have been better. But apart from that, like, I think it tells how good, at least more than half of it is, when I am happy to ignore the ending and still think this is one of my favorite books. Because it's just so good. It is just so incredibly good. Now I'm going to give spoilers for If We Were Villains, which is a book that pretty much just like copies this. So If We Were Villains is a book that was released in 2017. So could it have been a The Secret History but better? It could have. It's not. It's worse. In my humble opinion. A lot of people prefer If We Were Villains. I believe they prefer If We Were Villains because the character is canonically bi in it. I don't think it's a valid reason to prefer If We Were Villains. It's, in my opinion, it is... The writing is a lot worse. But that's also because, like I said, I really like Donna Tartt's writing style. So to me, it's a huge downfall. It's not, like, horrible. It's not badly written. But it's just not that good. Especially compared to this. It changes the story in ways that does not make much sense. There's a whole, like, police chase thing that we don't really have in this. That's just weird. There's many ways that the whole case could have been closed a lot earlier. Also, there's a whole thing with, like, inspectors going on campus when they don't have search warrants. So if the main character just went to the principal and was like, hey, they keep peeping around here, they don't have search warrants, then that would have been also done. Like, they could have gone about this and gotten out of this in many very obvious ways, because it's also a story of a murder, of course, because it's the same story, but in a theater department. Like, the parallels don't parallel well. I mean, they very much do, but they don't in a good way. So it's a bit of a mess. It's, to me, a huge downfall, and to me it's the worst downfall about If We Were Villains compared to The Secret History by Donna Tartt, is that in The Secret History by Donna Tartt, the main character tells you he's an asshole. You know he's an asshole. You see he's an asshole. And that's fine. Because you accept that and you go with that. You're like, I'm reading a book about assholes and I'm going to read a book about assholes. That's really fine. In If We Were Villains, everyone is like, oh, you're the best of us. You're such a good guy. When he's also just as much of an asshole as the character in The Secret History. So there's a weird hero complex going on where everyone just keeps telling him how good of a person he is, and he keeps telling himself how good of a person he is, but he's just an ass. He's just as much of an asshole as the Secret History guy. Even more, in my opinion, because he keeps telling himself he's a good person. At least this guy is self-aware. There's nothing more annoying than a main character trying to prove to you, and the book trying to prove to you, that they're a good person, when everything that they do and every action and everything shows you the exact opposite. In this book, the main character is not... Like, he's not the reason why Bunny dies, if that makes sense. It's kind of like a situation of, like, he gets enthralled into it, and then that happens. In the other book, it's not the reason the other guy dies either, but there's so much things that oops, all assholes. There's so much thing that, like, in this, he ends up, like, kind of getting into Bunny's murder. Like, there's another murder that happens beforehand, and then he gets and all the other characters are getting big spoiler. This is a big spoiler. All the other characters are blackmailing, are being blackmailed by Bonnie because he knows he killed someone. They killed someone. And they're all being blackmailed by Bonnie throughout the whole book, but we don't know that. We don't see the signs, and everyone else is on edge constantly with him, and so it builds and builds and builds and builds until they kill Bonnie. Because then our main character gets put into the secret and gets unfolded and all that. In If We Were Villains, it's a weird thing with like a murder happens, and we're like, it's not our main character, we know that, and then we get who did it. And like it's I don't remember it as much because I think it was badly done, and so my brain decided to quit it. But it gives like a reason that would be justifiable for the murder, if that makes sense, kind of, from what I remember. It gives kind of a reason where it's like, oh, he killed him. It's not that bad because he kind of deserved it. In this, yeah, he deserves it. He's a flipping asshole. But also, they kill someone because he would blackmails them for the murder that they didn't do. So, you know, it's not justifiable. So, yeah. That's all I have to say, I think, for this. So, yeah. I still really do love this book. But, yeah, I would recommend this. Not If We Were Villains. If you still want to read both of them, read If We Were Villains first, then The Secret History, I think. Because this is so much better. If you have a tendency though to be like, oh, this is like this other book, so therefore I like the first I read better, maybe read this one first then, because it's better. Then we get to This Is How You Lose the Time War by Amal El-Motal and Max Gladstone. You might have seen this book on Twitter a lot because of Trigon Stampede, the Trigon Stampede fandom. There's a very funny story around this book that basically someone with a Trigon Stampede profile picture decided to say, to tweet, hey, stop what you're doing and read this book. This book is incredible. I agree. And then it spiked immensely the amount of sales from this book. The authors got involved and were like, fuck, this is so cool. It's so great. Thank you so much. And then it got to the point where people went in cons, two cons, cosplayed as Trigon Stampede characters with a copy of the book. The book and Trigon Stampede have nothing in common. They have nothing to do with each other. Just a beautiful internet story that ended up rising the sales of the book a lot more. This was already a very well-selling book, I believe, but it got a second life kind of through this, and this makes me extremely happy because they deserve it. Because, once again, this is one of my favorite books. This is also one of... Yeah, it's such random lore. I love it. I saw it all happen in real time. It was extremely fun. This book is probably the best love story I've ever read. So, this book is very short. It's almost a novella. Okay? It's quite short. So, if you have a hard time with like bigger books and like you're like, I want to read books and I want to be influenced, but this is a lot. This is quite a short book. It's quite easy to read, and it's also an epistolar novel, which means it's letters. It's all written via letters. And this book tells the story of a time war through two characters that keep passing each other and leaving letters to each other and falling in love through those letters. The two characters are women. This is a lesbian book, which makes it even better. And it's a love story that goes through time and space in the best possible way. I love it so much. I don't have much more to say, I think. Content warning though, it starts at least very graphic. It's not the most gore thing you'll read, but just so you know, it starts a bit graphic, it gets calmer afterwards. It gets more into the lovey-dovey of it all afterwards. It is... The prose of it, the writing of it is extremely beautiful. It is such a gorgeously written book. It's so poetic. Right now my copy is at Oak's place because I lent it to him so he would read it. The second it comes back in my hand, I feel like I'll read it back because just talking of it makes me want to read it again. Because I remember, this is how I like sci-fi. I don't care much about sci-fi, and It's a book about those two people and how they fall in love and how will they be able to be together? Will they be able to ever cross each other again? Is the question. And the thing is, it is in a sci-fi world in which a time war is happening. There is different entities at work against each other. They are, of course, each of one entity, because more organizations than entities, if that makes sense. Because it wouldn't be funny if they were on the same side. That's the issue. That's the whole issue. And you get to know about each sides and stuff through the letters, and you get to know about the world, but of course you don't know everything. And there's so many like questions that can still be opened, but you don't care because that's not the point. And that's the kind of thing I love, is feeling like you're in a bigger world than what you get, and you just get a little peek, but you can tell there's like such a huge world out there, and it's so interesting to just see that storyline within it. It's very much what Miyazaki does in a lot of these movies, giving us just the storyline through a point in time of a character, and you can tell there's a bigger world, you can tell there's more to his stories than just what you're seeing, but you only get this. This is what you're given. And I really like that. It's one of my favorite things in storytelling, is being able to be like, I wonder what happens next, I wonder what happens then and stuff. Well, I wonder what happened in this universe more, and it's not answered. That's one of the reasons why I keep being like, what do you mean they did another season? One season was enough to anything that I ever watched ever. Or sometimes books do, because I'm just like, you don't need more, this is perfect. Sometimes I'm wrong, a lot of the time I am right. But yeah, I highly recommend this book. Godot's theme. We love Godot. Thank you, Acetoni, for Godot. But yeah, highly recommend this book. Especially if you're like me and you love romance. This is literally, it's a sci-fi book, but it's the best romance book I've ever read. It's a sci-fi war book, what can you tell? Then, we get to a big chunk. So, I don't have my copy of Gideon the Ninth because it's at a friend's place, but I do have my copy of Harrow the Ninth. So, I'm going to talk to you about specifically the Locked Tomb series. I have only read 2 books out of the 3 out right now. There are 4 books announced, but seeing how the author already added a 4th book, added a 3rd book before the 4th one, because for those who don't know, right now the trilogy is Gideon the Ninth, Harrow the Ninth, Gideon the Ninth, Harrow the Ninth, Nona the Ninth, and incoming Alecto the Ninth. The original plan was Gideon the Ninth, Harrow the Ninth, Alecto the Ninth. There was not supposed to be a Nona book. It was added in between. So we're waiting for Alecto right now. And I finished Harrow the Ninth not that long ago. And I read Gideon the Ninth a while back, so... And this took me a while to read because it is... takes your brain. It is a big book. Did I highlight? Yes, I highlighted stuff in there. Like I said in my intro stream, if lesbians, necromancers in space, with a lot of queer characters, high in color, very funky writing style, especially for the first book. This is a bit more. I mean, both are very silly, but this is from Harrow's perspective, which is a bit more serious of a character. And you like worlds that just keep expanding, highly recommend. Highly recommend. Because the way this series work is that yeah, the spoilers. The way this series work is that basically you start the first book, you're like, oh, okay, I see. You finish the first book, you're like, oh, I see. You finish the first book and you're like, oh, I see. You start this book, you're like, okay, I don't see anymore. You finish this book, you're like, I see what I was told at the start of this book, I don't understand what's happening anymore now, though. It's an ever-expanding thing. Where, like, it's unstoppable. It will kick you in the head. It will kick you in the brain. At some point, I'm sure it will stop. But for now, it's not stopping. anytime soon, which is very funny. Yeah, because I have more to say about this book that is not a spoiler. I highly recommend it. They are incredibly funny, incredibly written as well. It is a prowess really by the author to be able to write in such different voices, I believe, because Eden and Harrow are two characters that could not be more different from each other, and writing from the perspective of both of them is, I think, incredibly hard. And it's done excellently. Both are such unique voices, and all of the voices, I believe, because Nona, from what I know of Nona, is also a very, very specific voice that's extremely different from both of them. And Alecto, from the little bit that I know about Alecto from 2 full-ass books, seems also very different from the 3 of them, because those are 2 books that are both 500 pages each, so 1,000 pages total so far that I've read. So it's great. I will say, if you are squeamish, do not read those books. Those are very graphic. It deals with necromancy. Bones are popping, blood vessels are popping, anatomy things are popping everywhere. It is very graphic. It talks also about fighting and things like that. We are not really in a time war, but there are like things kind of going on. People have knights. It is slightly fantasy in a way because they are necromancers, and as you can see, they got swords. It's funky that they gave her that sword from the cover, by the way. Sorry. But yeah, they are very much from oh, it's popping off, you could say. It is indeed popping off. But yeah. And also they keep putting each other in danger physically to attack others. So you know, stuff happen. If you are squeamish, don't read those books. You will not feel well afterwards. I was having a lot of fun. But yeah. Because it is basically the story of a world that got to the point where we are today, fully collapsed, and got reborn. And so it is the kind of world that is in our far future if we were to take our human history right now, but also has a lot of things that are from our past because the society is getting rebuilt and has been getting rebuilt. So we have a lot of very futuristic things and a lot of very past things, but it makes sense within that story, just so you know. If you like stuff that is also a little bit fantasy and a little bit like cryptic and puzzle solving and enigma solving, this is also very much for you. There is so much mystery within these books that you can try and guess and pick at, and it's incredibly fun to get where stuff are with the characters and try to guess what's happening. I would highly recommend, if you want to read any of those books or that whole book series, please don't start with a random book. I would highly recommend not looking online at anything from the fandom. You will get spoiled. I got spoiled pretty much one of the main thing of this book, which I didn't mind much because I was like, okay, it's okay. But like, I wish I hadn't been spoiled. I didn't get spoiled on most of it, which I am very glad about. But there's some aspects of it that are very made fun of by the fandom from the story, like as not like making fun of the book, but like having fun with the characters, which I love about the fandom, but also means you will get spoiled intensely if you end up joining the fandom. So I would say that. I will put the camera off for a second because my nose is really, really itchy, so I will try to get the itch away because it might be something in my nose. So I will put the camera off for a second. Be right back. I'm still with you. Don't leave, please. Just trying to make sure that like I can continue without having to pause every 5 seconds to scratch my nose would be great, you know. Ah. Do I have tissues around me? I don't think I do. That's fine. Okay. Your attention in the chat. Okay. I'm back. Hopefully, my nose stopped itching. That would be great. I would love that for me. I don't even have... Why is my nose itching so much? I don't have seasonal allergies. There's no pollen in this room. I think maybe there was something in my nose that kept itching. Maybe. So, yeah. Then we have... let me get the right book cover. Here we go. Hell Follows Us by Andrew Joseph White. Oh, also I didn't say, I'm so sorry. Howard the Ninth and Gideon the Ninth is by Tamsin Muir. This person. I know it's inverted, but yeah. If you write them, you know, you'll get them quickly. But I do want to credit the others. And also, wasn't really much the case as much with the others. But for this one, the cover art is by Tommy Arnold, because he makes those gorgeous painting for each of the covers. So far, the 3 covers are the same style by the same artist. They're all gorgeous. This is very classic, but it is still very good. Do we have the person that made the cover art? Because I do like to, you know, say when I do really like the cover art. No, okay, great. And this copy of the Starless Sea, cover design and illustration by Michaela Alcano. Yeah, here we go. Radio Silence can go fuck itself. The cover is ugly, and the pretty cover is by Alice Oseman, so it's fine. I sadly do not have the name by heart of the artist that made this cover art. It's the same artist that does all the cover arts from Andrew Joseph White. I really love their work. Sadly, I don't remember per memory their name, so I wouldn't be able to tell you. Wait. I will find it. It's really easy to find. I can just look up Andrew Joseph White, and it'll be on his socials. Here we go. Evangeline Gallagher. Here we go. Evangeline Gallagher. So yeah, go follow Evangeline Gallagher. Incredible work. So, Hell Followed With Us. I'm going to talk about both Andrew Joseph White books. I have the little covers for both of them because both are different places. This one is held hostage by Zeke Channel until he reads it, and the other one, The Spirit Bears Its Teeth, is at Algernon's place until they read it, because this book has been made for them. And they're both some of my favorite books. I don't read a lot of horror, but this makes me want to read more horror, but I fear I will be disappointed, because I'm not very attracted by horror themes, but those books are so fun. So, Hell Followed With Us is a book about a young guy called Benji, a young trans guy called Benji, who basically is trying to escape during the apocalypse. If his dad is trying to escape evangelists, which is a community that they come from, and they're trying to escape them. Especially because, you know, they're transphobe and assholes, and his dad trying to protect him. His dad gets killed, and so Benji has to try to survive on his own. And he, on his trial to survive, that was not a sentence. While trying to survive, he finds... I'm so sorry, I can't speak right now. He finds Silver Valley's camp with other people, and he tries to integrate that. And he also has secrets and things that he comes from the evangelists, and he's trying to hide that, and he's trying to hide other stuff. But yeah. And the evangelists are trying to get him back for reasons that you would know if you read the book. Trial to Survive. Wait, it is a title. That's an Ace Attorney game. But yes, there is body horror in this. There is Christian horror in this. It is extremely good. It is extremely well written. It is very fun. It is very queer, very gay, very trans, very autism. And if you like stuff like, for example, if you like any post-apocalyptic kind of games, if you like The Last of Us and don't want to support the Zionist creator, you can get this book. It makes me think also of Silent Hill in a way, like the Silent Hill with the family. Where I think it's the fourth one. I don't know. I don't play the Silent Hill games. I'm so sorry. But yeah, very good book, extremely good book. I don't think I have much more to say about it. Andrew Joseph White writes in ways. If you're a trans person or queer person, but more if you're trans, but especially a queer person, or even someone with autism, and you have this need in you to see the people that makes you suffer or have made you suffer because of those qualities suffer themselves and get back at them. Those books are extremely cathartic. This one as much as the other one. It's just different genres, and you can choose kind of like what genre you want. Because the other book by Andrew Joseph White that I have to talk about is The Spirit Bears Its Teeth, which is this gorgeous cover. This is a book about a main character who I forgot the name of. You finished the event sim, yay! Excited to see him. I don't know. Did you do Loki yet? Did you do who did you do? Did you do Helen? Did you do Helen yet? But yeah. God, it didn't help with my nose actually. Stopped itching for like 5 seconds. But yeah, this one is the story of I can't remember his name, but this young man great. And basically, he lives in a Victorian England kind of era. And, you know, that sucks when you're trans. Nice, settlement has been done. That sucks when you're trans. So, on your IP, you can go sleep, Juno, if you want. It is starting to be late. Have these books in to speak about. Just after this, I'm talking about all for the games, so you can go sleep after all for the games. My brain is splattered over the floor of Breakdancer. That makes a lot of sense. You did go to, because Zeke and Juno today went to the amusement park, and Zeke made Juno do a bunch of attractions, and so Juno now is as chicken as a milkshake, which is very chicken. But yes, sorry. The story of a young Victorian trans guy in a society in which he has purple eyes, which in that society means you can see ghosts and interact with the door to the other world. And, you know, that's great. Except we're in a Victorian England society, and that means that men want that power, so they marry young girls that have that power. As a trans guy, that's an issue. I'm sure you can see why. And so he tries to pass as a guy and get his license to practice magic. He gets found out and sent in a house to fix his issues, if you know what I mean. It's a horror book, so, you know, things happen. Things that are very scary, especially with the state of the world right now when you're trans and have autism, because that's the case of the main character, is that he's not just trans, he also has autism. So they're trying to fix multiple stuff, you know what I mean? Fix, so we're very clear. And so it's the story on how he's going to try to get out of that situation, hopefully survive. and managed to live as himself. There is a T for T romance in this book, which is very, very satisfying. Content warnings, I would say, well, gore, horror in general, transphobia, a lot of it, ableism, a lot of it. There is an abortion described. Also, the special interest of this guy is surgery, and he wants to be a surgeon. So just so you know, there's a lot of descriptions of that. So yeah, if you aren't the best about all of these, maybe, you know, don't read that. But it is a very, very good book, and like Andrew Joseph White says, he writes horror books about people that don't get the chance to fight back, finally being able to fight back and survive their stories. And it's not really spoiler because he says that about his books. It is reassuring to read a horror book about a trans person knowing they're not going to die. They will suffer, but they will get vengeance, and usually in very satisfying ways. If I could see Andrew Joseph White, I would give him, with his consent, if he doesn't want it, fully fine, a huge hug, because, like, to thank him, because what he's doing for the trans community with his horror books is incredible. And I am extremely excited to read his third book, Compound Fracture, which is his first adult book. So far, this book and the other book I talked to you about, Hell Follow With Us, are young adult. So imagine how far it's going to go in an adult book. I am so excited. I am so excited. Yes, Juno is milk chooketh. So then we have, where are you? I'm so sorry. Oh, they're so small. Wait, come here. Here we go. The All for the Game series. So, the All for the Game series, as far as series go, is my favorite. No, I can't say that, because I was going to say my favorite book series, because it's the only book series that I really love that has finished. But that's not true anymore, because of the fourth book. It's starting again. There's more books coming. So, it's not my favorite book series because it's the only one that's finished, because it's not finished. So, it's as much my favorite as this one, for example. It is one of my favorite book series. Like Juno summarized it really well the other day. It is college AU, sport college AU mafia gays energy. And you have the three main books here, but recently there's a fourth book that came out called The Sunshine Court, which starts a new series within this series, within the All for the Games universe. So it's starting up again, and I am extremely excited. Read the fourth one, absolutely adored it. Very excited to read the rest. And these three books are self-published, so you can only get these versions, which are printed by Amazon, that I don't have. I read them online, so they are very cheap online. So like digitally, I mean. I have bought very expensive copies of these books in limited editions, which shall arrive in September, and I am extremely excited for. So yeah, very, very excited to have those books, probably in September. So yeah, because they are gorgeous copies, the ones I'm going to get. So you know, very excited. So yeah, in those three books, you follow Neil Justin, which is a young adult who is barely 18. He's going to be 19 soon. Who doesn't have a family, at least that we know of. We know that his mom died. We know that he's running from his dad, and he's in hiding. He gets found out by a sports team that guarantees him safety, basically, as long as he joins the sports program. And so he goes there because he has literally nothing else. He has nowhere to go. Neil Justin, aka us. I am also a Kini Juno. He's both of us as much as it's Jean Moreau. He's both of us. You're going to, when you read The Sunshine Court, you're going to break your mind about how much Jean Moreau is you as well. So yeah, Neil Johnston, and you follow him through getting to this team, the specificities of this team, which is that it's all a team of people that usually would not get the chance to do professional sports, especially in university, in college, because they are people that are from backgrounds that are really hard, and they are all students that have a lot of issues, and so have to be catalyzed, and that is hard. Don't gatekeep the kidding, we can kid together. But yeah, it is extremely fun books. All the main characters are so fun in a way of they're all little assholes. They're all little pieces of shit, but in a very fun way. And they're all so queer as well. The fourth book, so that starts a new series, is about Jean Moreau, which is a character that is in the All for the Game series as a side character. And now he gets his own series. And I would like to think, and it is partly because of the fandom, because this whole second series we know is going to focus partly around Jeremy having a new team of XC. XC is a sport I play. It's basically like Host, but make it violent times 10. So he gets a new team after the end of the All for the Game series, and it's kind of focused around him and his soon-to-be boyfriend. And the thing is, right, the author didn't ship those two characters together at first, until the fandom came in, and 10 years later, after those books have been published, she was like, actually, let me write about those characters falling in love. When we win, we win! And so now we get even more story, and it is so good. So I highly recommend them, of course. They are extremely fun. They are so silly, but also so serious. Do read the content warnings on this book. There is so much. There is so much. I can't tell you all of them right now. But yeah. They are so witty. They are so smart. They are so fun to read. And yeah. I am extremely excited for the fourth book. For the fifth book. So, then... Now we have... Talking about sports books, we have another sports book, but in a very different genre. Oh, this is big. Wait. Do you see the scars? Do you see the trans scars on the thing? Look at him and his scars. Wait. Up. Give me a second. Doing my best. This is a big cover. I also don't have the book because this book... Also, all for the game books are... I don't have physical copies of them, like I said, yet. This book I have a physical copy of. It is at my boyfriend's. He has read it. He really likes it as well. Because I recommended it to him. This book is Tears in the Water by Margherita Scala. Or Scala? I think it's Scala. Who is a trans, non-binary Italian author who writes in English. I only read this one of their books, but I do really like it. It is a book about the main character. I think is called Alex, if I remember well. A lot of those books I read a while ago, so I don't remember always everything. And basically, this is Haikyuu. Alex swims, but whatever. Haikyuu, but make it extremely queer in the vibes of it. It is, and also give a lot more anxiety to the characters. Alex is the main character who is, then discovers that they're trans, but Italian. Wow, really minority rap here. Shut up. I just like remembered that they were Italian. But yeah, this is a book about that character coming to age with the fact that they're trans and who they are and being queer, especially by meeting Tate, which there's a love story between those two, and it's really sweet. They are adorable. They're so nice to each other. Who is a trans guy? I'll get you when I get you. There's a bug. Sorry. Who is a trans guy, and they're both at the same college, which is a college that is bringing up athletes for like the Olympics and stuff, so like a sports specific college in Europe. And so Alex is on the swimming team. Tate is on the volleyball team, if I remember well. And Alex also has issues with anxiety. They are extremely anxious and they have a lot of social anxiety. And it's also working through that and becoming friends with Tate and Tate's friends and their friends. And that whole year basically for them. And it's a very soft book. It's a really nice book to read. I think I read this book in like one night, or like one afternoon, one day. Like I sat down, I opened the book, and when I closed the book, well, I had finished it. Uh, it is a really nice to read. It's really easy to read, really smooth to read. The characters, you get attached to them really, really quickly. It has a bunch of characters with very different queer identities, so it's really nice to have a very diverse cast. Yeah, it's very, very sweet. It has a lot of anxiety within the book. That is the only thing that would be a bit like but apart from that, it is very much like a nice breath of fresh air kind of book. Would highly recommend. It is extremely sweet, and it's a book that touched me a lot because I read it and I was like, well, this was amazing, and I felt the urge immediately to have to draw those characters. So I did that, and then I just published them on the internet, you know, as one does. Then what do we have? Ooh, then we have the book that I have with me. There we go. Then we get Yellow Face by Eroth Kwon, which has crippled edges, which makes me really happy because I really like crippled edges. I don't know if you can see them well. Yeah, there's a very pretty edition of Yellow Face. It's a hardcover limited editions, which the spine is black and not spine. This section is black and has like an ink pen nib and with drops of ink, and it is so cool. So, Yellow Face by Eroth Kwon. This is oh my god, I really like. You can't see, but yeah, you can't see. Basically, like there should be more yellow, and it's all white now because of how I treated that book. That poor little book. But it's fine. It's fine. It's loved. It's loved. I love that this feels a bit like a manuscript because it really like empowers the story, I think. So, this is a book about our main character, whose name I forgot. Wait, this one I can check. June. This is a book about June, who is an author, not a very successful one, and she is a white woman. This comes in handy. This is important. And then she, sorry. So this book is about June, an unsuccessful author. Since she was in college, she still tries to write a little bit, but kind of abandoned. She's teaching mostly now, and she's a white woman, and she's friends. She wouldn't say friends, but she doesn't know how to call them anyway, if it wasn't friends, with an author called Athena. They went to college together, and Athena is an incredibly successful Asian author, Chinese, I believe, author. And the thing is, right, one day, they go for drinks together. Athena invites her. She doesn't really know why Athena invites her always. She doesn't consider them friends, but Athena seems to think otherwise. So they go, they have drinks, they go back to Athena's place, which is a really nice place. Athena shows her her most recent manuscript, which she just finished. She hasn't even sent it to her publisher yet. She's just finished. Not exactly. Not exactly. And then they are both extremely drunk, June and Athena, coming back from the party. They're having drinks. And Athena chokes on a pancake and dies. Yeah, and so June, in the panic of calling 911 and everything, also grabs the manuscript that just was finished and keeps it with her. And then she decides to rewrite most of it, makes it hers, So, like she starts by correcting it basically, and she writes some of it. She does changes and things, and then she publishes it under her name on a pancake. Yes, I know. This is so funny. This is why I remember this detail, and that's why it's called Yellowface, because then, this is going to talk in depth about the editing spheres and the editing world, and also and how and so much of this, which is of course Arifkong is part of, and it is extremely interesting. It talks on racism a lot, especially racism within the editing spheres and between authors and with lectors and stuff, with readers, not lectors, with readers. Um, and it is a really really fun, not fun, but a really really good book. Also a fun book, but when you're white, it calls you out in ways that I think white people should be called out more. So it's really good. June is a horrible narrator to have. Honestly, she's horrible to read because it's just like it's an infernal spiral of her justifying to herself why she did this, why she published the book, and all of this. So, highly recommend. Yeah, highly recommend. I know I have Babel in the background in there, and a lot of people talk about Babel a lot, but I think we should talk about Yellowface a bit more, because basically, Babel, I really like Babel, but I preferred all of the academia parts a lot more than the actual fiction parts, and I am a bit sad that Arif Kong's next book is going to be a fiction once again. Not a fiction, but like a fantasy once again. Because like I wish we had more like real life fiction, like in Yellowface, instead of Babel, which is also fantasy. Also, I have not read the Poppy Wars trilogy, so I cannot speak on those books. But I kind of don't want to, when my favorite part of Babel was definitely the criticisms of academia and racism via academia, and the more like essay parts of the book rather than the fiction of the book. But yeah, there's just like same as with Donut Secret History. The ending of this book I had a little bit of an issue with because it kind of goes places where I was like, doesn't make much sense. I get why she did it like that, but I wished it another way, if that makes sense. So yeah, I still highly recommend it, of course. I just wish the ending was a bit different because some of it is slightly silly when it maybe should not be. But yeah, I highly recommend this book, especially when you want to be more aware about racism and ways that racism can sip itself into people, especially people that don't believe themselves to be racist, but of course are, because racism isn't an easy thing. It's not a black and white thing. Lol. It very much just, it's like any kind of any kind of hate in that kind of way. It's not that easy, and there's many ways to be in more devious ways than just saying a slur. Okay. On a pancake. Okay. Next book is Angels Before Man, and before we get to that book, I'm going to go to the bathroom real quick. So I'll leave you with the waiting screen for a little bit. I'll be right back. I left for what, like a minute? God, it's so warm in my room. I don't want to open the window because then if people scream outside you'll hear. It is quite warm just from having closed it for like 2 hours. God, there's arson being commented in the group chat. In the side chat. God, incredible. Okay. Good music for that. Scatter. You're focusing on Helen. God, what's happening in there? Okay, next book. We got Angels Before Man from Raphael Nicholas. So, there's a second book that came out, and there should be a third one at some point, I think. And I'm really excited to read the second one because, you know, this book I really liked, obviously. So, what is this book about? This is a queer retelling of the fall of Lucifer, from the birth of Lucifer and how he was loved by God and all of this, to him living with angels in heaven and all of this, and up until his fall. Very good to know, even though this book has some more like dark topics to it, there is a little warning at the start of this book saying, author's note, this book contains, and then all of the trigger warnings. These themes are very light or absent in part 1, and it isn't necessary to read part 2. So if you see those themes and you're like, oh, I don't want to read those, don't worry, you can just read part 1 of the book and don't have to read part 2, and you still get a very full story. Even though I do think you should read part 1 and part 2, I think that it would be better, but you know, if you want. But yeah, it is a very, very beautiful book. The writing is really, really nice. I do really like this book. The way characters are described specifically is like truly, truly gorgeous. And the descriptions and everything are just incredible. The fall itself, which is pretty much all of part 2, is really well written also within itself. And the shift from the like kind, nice Lucifer to the fallen Lucifer is really, really well done in my opinion. I would also like to say that if you liked this book, if you read this book and like this book, or if you want to see what the author's style is like and you want a good cry, there is a short story that's you can get for free if you go see Raphael Nicholas on his social media. It's linked in his bio and stuff, called Guardian Angel. It's a short story and you can find it online really easily, and it is really, really good, and so I would recommend it. It is like 7 or 8 pages and it is gorgeous and almost made me cry. Also angel themed, but yeah, I would say do go read it. But yeah, a queer retelling of the fall of Satan. Also the art on the book is like really, really nice. There is 2 covers for these books, and both of them are honestly really beautiful. Fun fact, this version now is the hardcover, I think, and the soft cover is another cover. Yeah, but I want to know what the artist for the cover is. Do you have that at the back of the book, please? This is an like independent book. Cool. Cover illustration by Andy Luktu. At C-Rock on the thing. CEO on Twitter, and 11 Twins on Instagram. Nice. And a cover designed by Alexandra Patrascu. So gorgeous. And then we're getting to the last book already, so I might do a very short stream, because or like I don't know what we could do afterwards. But the last book I want to speak about is S, or The Ship of Theseus, by J.J. Abrams and Doug Dorst. I have them here. which is a gorgeous, gorgeous book that comes in this and costs a pretty penny, but you know, worth it. You may make it to the end of stream, indeed. Book for long. And you can see this thing behind me here. That is all, not all of them, but almost all of the documents that are within this book. So this costs, I like to say that because like I feel bad recommending this book knowing how much it costs. It costs really a lot of money, but you get all of those documents and stuff in it, and there's even more in there that I haven't put. And this book is pretty much 2 or 3, 4 stories in one. And the reason for that is, let me get you to a nice page where, yeah. As you can see, there are annotations on the book. I did not put them there. They are within the book. The whole book is annotated. Basically, this story is the story of 2 college students. One is kind of out of college, but you know what I mean. Jen, and I forgot the name of the other guy. Jen and someone else. And basically, the guy whose book this is at the start of the start of it, basically has done a first run through of this book, annotating a lot of it, because he's a scholar of this author, V.M. Straka, which is so a fictitious author who has written this full book. So you can just, don't mind this, if you want to, you can literally just read those parts that are printed and have just a book. And on top of this, so he had started annotating this, and he left this book somewhere in the school with at the top of it written, "If lost, please bring to this place." And so Jen finds this book, puts it at this place, and they start then annotating back to each other through the book. And yeah, it's like, hey, I found your book, blah blah blah. And so at starts, they're just starting to be friends, and also like speaking on who V.M. Straka could be, because V.M. Straka within the universe, this fictitious author, no one knows who he is, and so students of his work, one of the big questions is trying to guess who is V.M. Straka. Yeah, make your judge for yourself. I'm happy for you, it's okay. So a lot of the book is them trying to guess who Straka is, but also trying to guess within the book, because there's hints within it. There's also a lot of hints within the translation notes, because the book was printed in English and is made in English, but Straka did not write it in English, it was translated, and so there's the translator's notes, and so they do a lot of notes on the notes themselves. Who was the translator? Why can't we find him? Who was this person? It's also, you can also read how both of them become friends, and maybe more than friends within the book, and also how their lives get changed by just this book and trying to guess who the author is, because there is a lot of conspiracy, and within the universe, V.M. Straka was a huge criminal who did lots of things, and so, you know, when someone potentially did a bunch of government coups and fought in wars and fought with huge industrialists, people that have a lot of money, like go head to head with Jeff Bezos or Elon Musk, people try to make them shut up. So, you know, stuff happened, and it is, if it was just that story that they have in that book, just written in like a normal novel, it would not be, it would be a fine book, but it would not be half as good as this, because since you can legitimately, if you want, read it like 4 times and have the first read just be the book, the second read be the first first bunch of annotations, second read be the second bunch of annotations, because all of the annotations are in different colors, as you can see here, and so different colors means different timelines. different times when they were writing it. And it is a book that is very rereadable, especially with the info that you get through the book. I personally would like to buy a second copy of this book so I could have a copy that have all of the documents constantly in it, and my normal copy which has all of the documents here. But also this costs like $40, so maybe not. You know, do I have the price on this? Yeah, £40. But also, this is an incredibly fun read. I love trying to piece out a mystery while I'm reading a book. I think that's so fun. All of the annotations, I believe, are written by hand by people that have... They probably just printed the first book normally with all of the big like margins on the side, and then made people handwrite, because that's fine. You can tell this is handwritten. This is not like printed, you know what I mean? This is not digital. Like this, someone wrote this with a ballpoint pen or an ink pen or whatever on this. Especially some of the colors, you can really tell that it was an actual pen, which is so satisfying to read. The only issue I have is that Jen writes her eyes like S's, and that is hell. The way Jen writes is sometimes a bit hard to read. Once you are used to it, it's fine. But when you're not, you read it and you're like, what is this? What do you mean, bestie? Yeah, the eyes she writes are like weird. But once you get used to it, it's fine. But yeah, I would highly recommend. It is such a fun book. I love the whole like... And it is also like just a beautiful object. Like, look at that. Like, just the Ship of Theseus book within itself is great. It's a really nice book object wise. You have all of the little details. Like, for example, this was supposed to be a like school book that was given to people, and then the character just stole it. This is part of the book. I didn't do this. This is part of the book. So you have the whole like book forlorn, like written before, keep this book clean. And all of like the fake administrative stuff at the bottom, and all the different stamps, and the big like book forlorn at the front as well, that was clearly never given back and all written. Yeah, and you have like the little stamp saying property of the school. Yeah, it is. At first it's a lot because you have to guess which color happened when, and like going back between text and annotations, but like it is so fun. And also the story of those two characters just passing a book to each other, not knowing who they are because, you know, safety and stuff. Yeah, it is incredibly fun, and I would recommend it to pretty much anyone that likes reading, because it is such a unique reading experience. Like, of course, J.J. Abrams, the dude that made the movies, wrote this. That makes sense. And I don't know who Doug Dorst is, but apparently he's also a novelist. And just the box, look at this. This, by the way, this is closed. When you buy the book, this is like this. So this is closed, so you have to open it whenever you want to get the S stamp on it, and the huge... Like, I want 2 copies almost, also, just to have one just be the box and one just be like that on front. Because like, it's so gorgeous. And I am a sucker for like physical objects in general, like book-wise and stuff. But yeah, that's all of the books that I wanted to present, I believe. Yes, all of them. Because then I can speak about more books if people are interested. But that's like my most favorite ones, because the rest are just like, there's a bunch of books that I really like up there, but they're not like my favorite books. So, you know. But I might just end stream early, you know. Like, this is nice. This is nice and sweet, nice and short. Because I do have a stream planned tomorrow anyways, so. All the books, give all the books. Because then it's just like, what's in my fucking like library. Because I think it'll be funner if I do then like streams about like each, maybe like, you know, oh, books in this genre that I've read, or like queer books, for example, for like Pride Month or whatever that I've read, like stuff like that. I think would be fun. Yeah, it works well like this for the VOD too. That it's just like nice and short and sweet. I think that will be nice. Yeah, so I think I'm going to stop it now. Then it'll just be shorter. It's fine. Book streams can just be a bit short. It's usually when there's more people and stuff. Of course, it'll be like a bit more lively because then people can speak of books that they like and can like interact with that. So that'll make it a bit longer. But of course, you know, comes with time, and that's fully normal and fully fine. But yeah. The list of books I'm going to recapitulate for people. I need to get stickers for this sketchbook notebook because it's really cute, but I want stickers. I want it to be covered in stickers because it's not really my energy. So we had Radio Silence and Loveless by Alice Oseman. We had The Stalacy by Erin Morgenstern. We had The Secret History by Donna Tartt. We had This Is How You Lose the Time War by Amal El-Motar and Max Gladstone. We had Gideon the Ninth and Harold the Ninth, and in general the Locked series by Tamsin Muir. We had Hell Followed With Us and The Spirit Bears Its Teeth by Andrew Joseph White or A.G. White. We had the All for the Game series, aka The Foxhole Court, The Raven King, The Kingsmen, and The Sunshine Court by Nora Sakavic. We had Tears in the Water by Margarita Scialla. We had Yellowface by R.F. Kuang or Rebecca F. Kuang. We had Angels Before Man by Raphael Nicholas, and we had S by Gigi Abrams and Doug Dorst. So yeah. With all that being said, tomorrow we'll have another art stream. I don't know yet what we will draw, but it will be fun. I hope to see you there. Same time at 9 p.m. My time. So 9 p.m. Paris time. I hope you all have a very nice evening. I started to put the VODs on the YouTube channel. Sadly, there won't be the VOD of my first stream for the simple reason that I I didn't activate the VOD thing on Twitch when I did that, so the VOD is lost. But that's fine. We still have the VOD from yesterday's link drawing on the YouTube channel if you're interested. So yeah. Thank you all for being here. I'm going to put the little like hype for those two, because of course, you know, they were sweet enough to be there in chat, and I am very glad to have them here. So of course, ZK is ZK's channel on Twitch, and Juno is Juno Casket on Twitch and on YouTube. If you want to go follow them as well, they are lovely. They make great content. But yeah, I'm going to leave you all on that. Yeah, join the Discord as well. Discord's cool. You can join the Discord. All the links should be on YouTube under here and on Twitch also. Yeah, I think that's all I have to do. See you tomorrow, same time, for more art. Bye bye.